against the negative effects of climate change and climate variability. 12, national security and defense optimization. Deploying resources to strengthen national security and defense mechanisms and infrastructure to deal substantively with emerging security threats and challenges, particularly in the Sahelian region. 13, downsizing government. Overhauling the architecture of the public service in Ghana by consolidating some existing ministries, departments, and agencies. This will lead to a lean government structure that will ensure operational efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of government services and also reduce costs to the national budget. 14, strategic engagement with the international community. Restructuring Ghana's diplomatic and economic relations with the international community based on the principle of positive neutrality, with a focus on promoting the strategic interests of Ghana, as well as our shared commitment to humanity and the preservation of peace around the world. Last but not the least, sports. Investing in world-class new generation sports facilities in selected competitive sporting disciplines. In this regard, my government would encourage the participation of the private sector in the development of sports infrastructure around the country, including sports academies. The Great Transformational Plan, GTP, will provide jobs for the people, cash for the people. In conclusion, fellow countrymen and women, the concept of an independent candidate becoming the President of the Republic of Ghana, though novel, will be the most innovative and revolutionary development in Ghana's political history. It will indeed be a watershed development in Ghana. Although similar examples of this model have been practiced successfully in countries such as Benin in Africa and other political jurisdictions. In a country like Ghana, that is currently embroiled in divisive political turmoil, an independent candidate who becomes president will be a bipartisan and honest broker amongst different political parties and will bring healing and reconciliation to our body politic. Ministers and other key government officials will be appointed from all parties and shall also include individuals who are apolitical but have a demonstrable and proven track record of performance in their field of specialization. Fellow countrymen and women, what Ghana needs now is a new leader and not a new political party. It is worth noting that the great nations of this world were built on the vision of great leaders and not on the back of political parties. There are multiple examples of such great leaders in political history around the world, including George Washington and Abraham Lincoln of the United States of America, Winston Churchill of Great Britain, Mahatma Gandhi of India, Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, Deng Xiaoping of China, and Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. In the current political dispensation of Ghana, under an executive presidency, the President of the Republic represents one constituency, only one constituency, which is the constituency of Ghana. While while different political parties can contest for parliamentary seats on the ticket of their political parties. Electing an independent candidate as president, who will lead a government of national unity, will not only bring harmony to the legislature, but also facilitate the approval and execution of government programs and projects. Who better can moderate and lead such a political divide than an independent candidate who has no direct ties with any existing political party? Fellow countrymen and women, I wish to use this opportunity to assure the rank and file of the New Patriotic Party that I still very much cherish my relationship with you, and I'm committed to the ideals of the founding fathers of the party. My decision to contest as an independent candidate will not destroy the party, but rather provide the party an opportunity to participate in a government of national unity in the future. And avoid the risk of going into opposition with no dividends in what arguably will be a difficult general election in 2024. You can vote for your preferred choice of NPP parliamentary candidate, but vote for Alan John Kojo Kyerematen. But vote for Alan John Kojo Kyerematen in the presidential elections in December 2024 to become the 6th president of the 4th Republic of Ghana. To the rank and file and sympathizers of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and to my friends in leadership positions in the NDC, please note that if elected as president, I will also be president for NDC. You will be better off avoiding the risk of remaining in opposition if you do not win the 2024 general election in the government of national unity by voting for Alan Kyerematen as president of Ghana in December 2024. To the rank and file and my friends in the smaller parties and other political organizations, including the national interest movements, please let us join hands to unite Ghana for our collective benefit. Fellow countrymen and women, I will in the coming weeks conduct a formal launch of my campaign and provide further details of my great transformational plan. Subsequent to the launch event and in the coming months, you will see me in your communities around the country, in your lecture halls, at our music concerts, in our churches, in our mosques, on your streets, at the market centers, at the fishing ports, at our trotro and taxi stations, on your farms, and in every corner of our society. Thank you. I am determined to hear the voice of the people in this movement for change. I invite every Ghanaian citizen to join me in this movement. In particular for the youth of Ghana, this is your chance. This is your chance to take control of power and authority in this country and shape the course of your own future. Together, we will win and Ghana will rise again. Together, we will win and Ghana will rise again. Together, we will win and Ghana will rise again. fellow countrymen and women, it will be an honor and privilege to serve you as the next president of the Republic of Ghana. God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. I thank you for your kind attention.
Alan speaks. Alan speaks. Alan speaks. Alan speaks. For change, Ghana will rise again. Movement for change, Ghana will rise again.
Now, this is a seminal moment for the New Patriotic Party, seminal moment for Alan Kyerematen himself. This is groundbreaking indeed from within the ranks of the NPP. Somebody in the mold of Alan Kyerematen, a stalwart of the party, breaking away from the governing New Patriotic Party to establish his own political movement. This will really test the NPP's fortitude going into the 2024 elections. And if you're just joining us, this is our special coverage of the Alan Kyerematen's announcement of his decision to break away from the NPP. It is official now. Alan Kyerematen is no longer a member of the New Patriotic Party. In fact, he's got one better. He has tonight announced the establishment of a new political movement, what he calls the Movement for Change. And they already have a motto: Ghana will rise again. And he says this will be the vehicle he will use to contest the 2024 elections. This is devastating for the governing New Patriotic Party, however you look at it, because he, of course, his origins in the Ashanti region, the party's stronghold. And as we'll be analysing for you pretty shortly, the NPP never wins the national elections unless they perform exceptionally well in the Ashanti region. As much as if they fall below 75% in the Ashanti region, they always tend to lose the national elections. If Alan Kyerematen can even get 1% of the votes, or even 2%, 1.5% of the votes, our calculation is he will deal a significant fatal blow to the NPP's chances of winning the 2024 elections. And as you expect, many in the Ashanti region, as the polls have shown with the anecdotal evidence of the protests that we've seen against some stalwart NPP MPs in the Ashanti region, those aggrieved NPP loyalists in there may tend to vote for him. This is a big deal for the NPP, and we're getting reactions for you. Elton Broby is live at the grounds for us, together with Blazer Soga. They will bring in us a special coverage of this as we continue our coverage and get you some reactions on the back of this major announcement by Alan Kyerematen. If you're just joining us, Alan Kyerematen has broken away from the New Patriotic Party, has formed his own political movement, the Movement for Change, with the motto, Ghana will rise again. It says this will be a youth-based party. He is trying to distinguish himself from the two established political parties, the NDC and the NPP, and appealing to the youth. He was very careful to tap into the protests that we saw since last week, Thursday, the Fix the Country movement, the Democracy Hub movement. He mentioned them by name, and clearly is positioning himself, is posturing towards that side of the country in terms of the youthful population, and wants to appeal to them to join him. He wants to tap into the grievances that many have with both the NDC and the NPP. And this is, make no mistake about this, it's not going to affect the NPP. NPP definitely takes a significant hit. He himself isolated the NDC and called on all NDC aggrieved individuals to join his movement. We'll be going to the Movenpick Hotel pretty shortly, where Elton is standing by for us right now. If Elton is on, I would I will bring in him now. I want to bring in Elton Brobe, who's joining us right now from the Movenpick, where the Alan Kyerematen just finished addressing the nation, announcing that he's breaking away. Hello, Elton. Elton, if you can hear me. I'm interested to know what those around you there are saying about this announcement. We saw the jubilation, the chanting that went on. The room were filled with mostly youthful faces, and you believe these individuals may be coming from the NPP, also aggrieved and joining him there. Curious.
Delivered what is supposed to be his statement regarding his political future. In summary, he's resigned from the NPP officially and will be contesting the 2024 general election as an independent candidate, and has thrown an invitation to everybody who believes in, reviving the Ghanaian culture. In his own words, Ghana will rise again. That has been the clarion call, and very soon, according to the MC for the program, they will be taking questions from the media. But before we do that, Dr. Eche Sikanko is a joint contributor, and he's here with me here as we bring you live coverage of the news conference. Surprised about what you heard?
Not entirely surprised because of the trajectory of events that led to this day. We know he has a history before, he's resigned before, and then in the past few weeks he did indicate that he was stepping out of the race. And so in between then and now, of course, that there was chatter about the possibility that he was either going to form a new political party or go independent. So this is not completely surprising.
Right. Okay, we're going to pause it here because they are taking questions from the media. We'll take you back to the main podium where Alan Kyerematen is now ready to take questions from the media, and then after that we'll do more analysis here from the Movenpick Hotel.
We were thinking of a youth movement for change, and now that our old board has come out with movement for change and the focus is still the youth, I think that we'll be having a rethink of what to do with this old board. Your Excellency, my question is simple. How do you expect to break through the space of this dominant duopoly of political giants, NPP and NDC? Historically, the antecedent is clear. The statistics are showing that from 1992, they don't give space to any other political party, talk less of an independent candidate. With what expertise are you going to overcome your powers so that in 2024 we will visit you in the Jubilee House as next president of the country? Thank you very much. The challenge that we have in this country is going beyond the.
We're going to be taking you there again, getting the questions and the answers coming from Alan Kyerematen and those who are gathered there. This indeed, as I indicated earlier, is a seminal moment for the NPP. It's one they have not experienced in a long, long time. I mean, the NDC has more experience dealing with breakaways, significant individuals leaving the party and forming their own political parties and running in the national elections. We saw the likes of Obeda Sama, Bidzidin, etc. do same. The NPP weathered that storm. The NDC weathered that storm then. This is a new territory for the NPP in the Fourth Republic. We've had others in the ranks, in the party, yes, break away and indeed raise issues, but nobody in the stature of Alan Kyerematen. And so that's where the distinguishing feature is. Raymond Akwa is with me in the studio. We'll be analyzing that for you together with our colleagues on the ground, Elton, Joy News contributor, Dr. Eche Sikanko, and Blessed Soga. Let's go back there and listen to Alan Kyerematen address some of the questions that he's fielding right now.
To try and ensure that this model succeeds. Thank you.
I am Chrissy Parker Wilson, the morning show host for Oyepa TV. And just to reference you to your own context you highlighted to us a while ago, chronicle from 2007 to date, when you gave us indication that your supporters have been intimidated and all of that. I want to know, just for clarity, do you feel insulted by the NPP? Do you feel you've been stabbed by the back, especially the current President, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo? Thank you.
That has been the substance of my statement today, and I am not sure that we need to go back on what I've said. But be that as it may, in my conclusion, you will recall that I indicated that I still believe in the values and the traditions of the founding fathers of our party. But as a matter of principle, I'm taking this decision to show the way to our own rank and file of our party, that our party cannot continue to countenance and tolerate the kind of divisive behavior that has characterized our party over the last couple of years. I've played my part, and I've made an appeal to the rank and file of the party that they must go beyond the leadership of the party and vote for me to become president, to serve them as members of the NPP. And the same appeal I've made goes to other political parties. I think my case has been made clearly in my statement.
Now we'll take the very last question. My name is Kwabena Owusu Ajiman, host of Final Point Political Show, Top FM or Top Radio. Honorable, my listener said I should ask my question in Twi for you to answer my question in Twi. So if you can permit me to ask my question for you to answer it in Twi. Thank you. Sir, Oshe Akinkanya, just 2021, Omokinkan Ghana for data naturally and say, yeah, 31 million as we speak. 35% a year, one or more age 0 to 14. 35% a year 14 to 35. And 4% na can ye ma minimum 47. Nyankopon ya adom now be leady or my Ghana. Youth no ye chefa any ye need so e wo amamum e ye den. Medas.
Yo, Mira, I'm saying, Nansma Mika no. No one's a man who will be something. Ya baby. Nanso so, ya dear won't bar for ye. Ya back from Ghana. Nanso so, ya besa. We didn't say Embrana song. That member I work Ghana no. And I saw Mudi a coon. I will share statistics somebody my over 55% of the voter public are between the ages of 18 and 35 years. I'm just the face of this new movement. This is a movement to be powered by the youth. I'm organizing okay. The answer, power belongs to the youth. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
And that there is Alan Kyerematen still fielding questions. Raymond Akwa is with me right now. Raymond, this is indeed a very important moment for this country because of the stature of the Alan Kyerematen. It reminds me of Obeda Samoa when he announced that he was breaking away from the NDC and forming his own political party. at the time DFP, and he went along with some stalwarts also.
Yeah.
Alan Kyerematen now, at least for now, is solo. Yeah. In the next few weeks and months, we'll see who else from the NPP's ranks joins him. On his campaign trail, we've seen the likes of the Railways Minister, John Peter Amewu, who was firmly behind him. Key question is Yababian and others. Key question is who else will follow him?
For example,
exactly. Who else will follow him? Before now, those who were in his campaign, some of them have already said, look, they're reverting to
David Sopoku,
Katrina Feku. Have said, look, I'm now support Bawumia. But here's the thing: if you back Alan, you leave the NPP. Right?
Almost certainly.
If you back Alan, because he's gone independent. And the party's constitution is very clear.
On that.
You cannot go independent and still stay in the party. In fact, going into the polls, the aspirants were asked to sign a bond.
A declaration.
That says, I commit to stay
regardless of the
outcome of the polls. But he's decided to go, and he's laid out the reasons. This is very important for the MPP, is it not?
Yes, watershed. I mean, the closest you could see to this, it could be that of Dr. Reku Bobe, who tried and also proceeded with the UGM. But Reku Bobe did not have the stature of Mr. Alan Kyerematen. He had not played a role that Mr. Alan Kyerematen had played in Ghana's politics since 2007. He almost became the candidate of the NPP.
But he traces his own contributions back to 1992.
Yes, and he actually tracks it nicely. Yeah. What is seminal about this is that this is a party that has done 8 years. It is a party that's going or trying for the first time in the history of this country to go in for the third term. Not done before in this republic. So that is what is actually stirring them. Ordinarily, after 8 years, you tend to lose 4 to 6% of your votes, of your percentage. So this party, in and of itself, is likely to lose that percentage, or claw back, or fight for that percentage, no matter what happens. And when you are changing candidates, when you change from one candidate to the other, the only person that has been different since 1992 had been in the case of John Dramani Mahama. And in that case, he had become president because President Mills died. So that change is also a very difficult change. This particular one compounds it. I am actually more fascinated by the twist it has taken. I was talking to Dr. H.A. Sikanko earlier today, and we're having a conversation about which system would he use to govern if he decides to go independent. But he draws a very interesting dynamic here, that he's not seeking to control Parliament. His business is running a government that's united. So whichever parliamentary candidate you want to put in place, he doesn't care. But he wants a presidency that's elevated above partisan politics, that's not divided in Parliament, but will get a chance to do the work that's required. He's also tapping into something that's been the talk of day for many people. That I've heard people within AGI, within GUTA, I've heard people say that we are just looking for the third candidate, the third force, that's going to really, really give people the indication that the duopoly has come to its end and that there's a challenge on the horizon for them.
But here's the thing about that, though. He mentions third force.
Yes.
But third forces in a very in its proper definition.
Yes, would have been
will be a political vehicle.
Yes.
Will be a political vehicle that then occupies the executive, but also the legislature combined. Because what he's trying to propose, he's proposing, he just laid it out, is he will contest the presidency, he contest the presidential elections only. Okay,
keep your parliament.
How does that make him? Because this is about him as an individual, as a third force in the grand scheme of things. Because he will not be fielding political members of parliament, for example, candidates in the parliamentary elections. It will be he himself. It's a very, very interesting dynamic he's introducing into this particular...
That's why I said it is a very compounded, convoluted trend. In fact, we've not had anybody propose this structure before. Because our systems have always been, bringing a third party like the CPP, the PNC, or any of the other options and make it work out.
Hold you I want to go to the Mervyn Peake Ambassador Hotel because we are getting some reactions from stalwarts of the NPP.
Yes.
Who are they giving support to Alan Kyerematen? Listen to Elton talk to Mr. Bafo.
The same, if I could have also be a flag bearer, isn't it? Because of this, my membership in this party or anywhere, my experience in politics. But it's always one person who leads this nation, who will lead this nation. And I think the sentiments he expressed, okay. If there had been some redress or some, because I was a former member of the Reconciliation Committee of the party, we brought so many people back into the thing. I believe in that. I believe in unity. I believe in coming together. So they should have called him long time to settle this issue. It's a simple thing. But you see, when power gets into your life, you may forget all things. But power corrupts, and it will corrupt absolutely, and it will end you in very.
So, Honorable S.K. Boafo, a stalwart of the MP, fully endorses our presidency in 2024.
Yes, I do.
So we're going to see you campaign for him.
If he calls me, I will do it. If he calls me, because I believe in that. I believe in it seriously, because you see, I laid down my life for this party. I've been in so many things. We went to exile for 7 years, and we came back. Oh God, I went to prison for 3 months under Rawlings for things I didn't do. And so the principles that I stand for are changed.
Some will say because he didn't make any good showing. He's taking this rather decision that's going to hurt the NPP.
You can answer it, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Because you see, the super delegates was key for one candidate. Because I'm an Ashanti.
We have heard this one candidate. Who is this one candidate?
That's why you should know.
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, I can't tell. But that's what we should. But the question is that seriously, I've thought about it, and I feel that my conscience that will make me that we need to. I think it's not just showing, because that will not help us. I believe in reconciliation. So if today or tomorrow the chairman that he sits there, that Stephen Tim, it's my colleague, all of us, the same people. They should have done this long time. And the young secretary, Kobia, the father was in my chambers. In fact, I was my army days. They should have called people and talk. It is only talking that can bring unity. But if not,
is it too late now?
I don't think so. That is late in this world, except when you are dead.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. S.K. Boafo is a former Ashanti regional minister, a leading member of the NPP. Now, probably it's safe to say that he's also crossed carpet to the new movement announced by Alan Kyerematen. He says that he's going to campaign for him. He is going to work with him. He endorses his candidature for the 2024 general elections. Again, I have Dr. Eche Zikanku here. He's a contributor for Joy News. We've heard it all. And my question is, in 2000 actually, when Guzitano decided to form his own reform party, was the NDC in power. And then, are we going to see, is this going to play? Is it going to hurt the NPP? In what way is it going to hurt the NPP?
Right. I think it's an interesting scenario. Like you try to see, there's a bit of history to it, but on the side of the NDC, there was Guzitano, there was also the Obeda Samoa situation, and even Anakonedo Ajiman Rawlings. So the NDC has had its own history of that, but it's come out very strong, and it's still standing. Now the MPP. It's kind of a very, very rare event, but for the MPP experiencing this, a political party has history, is been established over a long time, so I do not think that it would necessarily lead to the complete breakdown of the MPP. But for the sake of elections, elections are about numbers, and they're about supporters and people. And so definitely for people who support Alan, for people who still are very loyal and committed to him, they're going to follow him, and once that happens, it's definitely going to take some votes from.
In my interview with Honorable S.K. Boafo, he mentioned, for example, that the door is not closed yet. There is still the opportunity for the party to sit down and talk, reconcile. And so this announcement by Alan may not see the light of the day. If the party is able to move fast and resolve whatever differences that Alan has put forth, is this still a possibility?
Coalitions are always very, very practical situations in politics. Coalitions are realistic situations, but for now, it doesn't look like that is what he's headed towards. For now, he's more interested in pursuing a different path. I mean, I think that it will be a bit unrealistic to say that this is definitely going to affect the NPP. The question is to what extent would it affect them? But in terms of those coalitions and in terms of talks, it depends on the side of the NPP if they are going to move to see if they would offer reconciliation talks or they'll just go ahead with the situation as it is. In Kenya, we've seen those coalitions happening. He didn't indicate that in his speech, though. From what he heard, it looked like he was more interested in going on a singular journey. But you never know what would happen in future. But for now, it looks like he's very resolute on going on his own path.
So the red question, as a political scientist, the NPP is in danger of losing the 2024 elections with what has just happened.
Well, all sorts of possibilities are still present. Already, we do know that the NPP has had to face myriad situations, a downturn in the economy or challenging economic times. We've just had the demonstration by Fix the Country. They've agreed that the economy is not in a good shape. And so for now, they are on the defense. Okay. And so they don't need this, at this particular point in time, because one vote or one section of the party is a vote too much for them to lose at this time. What they do need is a lot more people joining the party, and so people taken away from the party is definitely not a good position for the NPP to be in. But if you talk to some of them, they would say that, well, the party has always stood strongly. They believe the party is going to come out strongly out of this, but it's definitely something that would affect their fortunes going forward. To what extent it would affect it, we'll see what that happens. And don't forget that independent candidates have not been totally successful in Ghana. It might be a different situation this time around, but we can only wait and see how this pans out.
So if you are an NDC person, for example, if you are John Mahama, how excited would you be this time?
Of course. Anything that would seem to take away some votes from your opponent is a good situation for you. So at this point, I'm sure the NDC are monitoring the situation. Definitely, they look forward to probably making the most out of this, because you don't need people chipping away from your party. But that is what is happening to your opponent at this time. And so they'll be monitoring the situation, and it definitely would be something that might endure to their advantage, and they will probably be looking forward to making a lot of hay out of it. There's been talk about probably Alan joining forces with them. We don't know how true or how realistic this is, but he's thrown an invitation to the NDC to join him as well. And so for your opponent to suffer some form of breakaway from their party is definitely a situation that you hope would translate, into your benefits in the future.
So Evans, we're coming to you live from the Melvin Brick Hotel. What you're going to do right now is to try and get more people to speak to. I see Gifty Clenham is a former member of parliament, and I also want to see if I can just pick just one word from Mrs. Kyerematen about what has happened to ma'am. And then let's see, ma'am, good evening. And we heard your husband make it so clear that he's on for the 2024 election as an independent candidate. What kind of support are you giving him?
I'm giving him every support with the strength that God has given me. Because you will agree with me that now the signal is clear, and it is more than possible that this will happen. Alan Kyerematen is a good man. He's the honest man. He's the man with vision. He's what Ghana needs at this time in our
This move, some say, is clearly political suicide for your husband.
Come again.
The elections in 2024 as he seems to go independent.
There is nothing impossible if God permits it.
Thank you very much. And that was the wife, Mr. Alan Kyerematen. You heard it from her. She's been espousing the positives of Mr. Alan Kyerematen. Let's try and see if we can get more people to speak to before we bring it to the studio for you. Few more people here, and then we can call it a day. But for now, I guess we'll have to let you take over, Evans. The information is out there and it's quite clear. Alan Kyerematen has officially resigned from the NPP with the intention of contesting the 2024 election as an independent candidate, and he's called on Ghanaians to support his new Ghana movement to restore hope, confidence in the governance system of this country. So as we bring this to a close, Dr. Skanko, for the NPP and of course Dr. Mohamed Bawumia, who is the Vice President, is clearly going to emerge as a winner in the November 4 election. What should be the strategy going forward for him?
All right, so excuse us a little bit. Yeah, so for Dr. Bawumia, I'm sure he's going to be watching this very, very keenly. I think at the end of the day, what he really needs to do is to make sure that he's keeping as many people within the NPP as possible. Already some former members of the Alan campaign team have declared their support for Dr. Bawumia. I mean, as a politician, you'll be looking forward as much as possible to making sure that he's retaining as many of them as possible. But then also, Alan also has that duty of making sure that he's not only getting a lot more people to his side, but pulling people from the other side. So it's going to be a very, very interesting permutation or dynamic moving forward on the side of the Bawumia team. If you monitor social media and you talk to some of his people, they still believe that they are strong moving forward. They still believe that they do have the chance to lock this up for the NPP and to move forward with it. So we'll just wait to see what his response will be moving forward with this.
Before we sign off, let me bring in some people who've come here to listen to Mr. Alan Kyerematen. First of all, what are you taking away from today's event?
I think there's a new wave of hope for the youth of this country. I happen to be the son of the late Alhaji Saka Inusa of the NPP. And so to me, this is not new. But Alan has done just to the country and to principalities of what he stands for as a human being and as a person, and his long service for this country. I think that today, as a youthful person, and any youth on the streets of Accra, there's a new hope and there's a new belief that Ghana will rise again. And it's not just going to rise on sheer mantra or whimsical promises, but it's going to rise under the backbone of credibility and of a person who has proven a credible track record in public service. And so this is a new hope for the youth. And we believe that it's time for a change. We are Africans. We are well endowed with natural resources. We've been blessed. We have the youthful population in our country and in our continent. But then we do not see it materialize due to certain, I would say, issues of leadership. But here we are. We have someone who has a track record and is able to leapfrog the dreams and aspirations of the Ghanaian youth. And I say this, there is hope for the youth of this country.
Let me bring in my good man. What are you also taking away from today?
In fact, I am very, very much happy today about Alan Kyerematen. The decision that he has taken is the best decision for my knowledge, because the vision that he has, he should share. He must share the vision that he has for the Ghana, and he's not getting that platform from other sources, and he has to right to take his own decision to find a way that he can also show his decision or his vision to Ghanaians. So I'm happy for him.
Thank you very much. Good here from the Mervyn Peak Hotel with Dr. Again, Alan is, the indication that he will contest the 2024 election as an independent candidate. So there is no structure whatsoever support in terms of the parliamentary. So even if he wins, he will be governing without parliamentarians from his side. How injurious can that be? And is it, with a voter look at all the dynamics and say that this man may not be ready to govern because of the structures that are in place that he may not have?
Yeah, it's a very interesting permutation that you've brought up. At the end of the day, the democracy is made up of different part to be able to pass some bills, and so I don't really know how his mind is working as far as this is concerned, but he's called on the NPP to vote for their parliamentary candidates while they vote for him as the president. So it looks like he's still counting on the NPP at some point to give him that support. And if you listen carefully to the speech that he's making, he said he's committed to the ideals of the party, so it looks like he's still waging the bet that at the end of the day he'll get some sympathy from the NPP, although he's not going to be on the ballot for them. When that happens, he's hoping that in Parliament they would support him, but that will be a very complicated dynamic. And so for a lot of voters, they're going to look at it and say that, well, how realistic is this? For Pakwesi Indum, Guzi Tando, and the others, one of the questions that voters asked themselves was, are we going to be spoiling our vote or not by voting for this particular candidate? Is it going to be a spoiled ballot? I mean, what is the realistic chance of him actually getting to the presidency? And what is the realistic chance of him governing without any hiccups or any problems? And so in the coming few months, it is Alan's job to be able to convince the Ghanaians that there is a viability or the prospect of an independent candidate ruling Ghana is a viable one. I mean, in the coming months, that's going to be his job, because he's definitely going to have a few things working again, even to convince Ghanaians that this is a possible prospect. You understand? So that's going to be his job moving forward.
If you are a floating voter, will Alan Kyerematen appeal to you?
Well, hey, Elton, let me tell you something. If there was any time that Ghana was, the grounds were open for an independent run, it's probably now, because we have practiced this since 1992. We've seen the NDC be in power. We've seen the NPP be in power. And one of the major narratives that Ghanaians have said is that they are tired of the duopoly of both parties. Let me tell you, for people who are tired of the ADS of the NPP because of the incumbency curse or the incumbency fatigue, and do not want to go to the NDC neither, this is a very plausible place to put their hope and to put their votes. And so Alan definitely is making a play for this kind of candidates. So you asked me the question that is this going to happen? I mean, it's definitely within the realm of probability. But the question again is, there are many people who are also loyal to their political parties instead of the candidates. So it's going to be an uphill battle for him, I must say. But nonetheless, a very interesting development. Before you go, I just need to say that as far as our democracy is concerned, it's something that we should all welcome in our democracy, even for those within the NPP fraternity, those within the NDC fraternity. Our country continues to set the pace for democratic development and progress and reform on our continent. And this is another development that has happened within the history of our democratic politics. Let's not lose sight at all. This is a very historic day. This is Alan Kyerematen, the founder of the NPP. Alan Kyerematen, a former government minister of the NPP. Alan Kyerematen, a leader of the new Patriotic Party, finally making the divorce, severing his ties from a party he has served and he loves so much. Let's not lose sight of it. It definitely is a very, very significant development and will definitely affect the way democratic politics is organized in Ghana. The proposition of the viability of the independent candidate becoming president has become a reality now in our politics, and we can only see how that experiment pans out in the coming few weeks.
Dr. H.S. Kanku is a political scientist and a contributor for joining us. So how is the NPP going to react to this announcement? Is the NPP going to come out all guns blazing and firing? Are they going to go on the attack? Well, the coming days will determine. But again, how is Alan Kyerematen going to lift this movement from the news conference onto the ground? And how is he going to attract floating voters especially? Is this going to hurt the NPP? And how beneficial will this announcement be for the NDC? These are questions that are begging for answer, and I'm sure that in the coming days we're going to explore them, analyze them, and then tell you the stakes ahead of the 2024 election. But then the game has just begun. And of course, trust your election headquarters, Joy 99.7 FM, join us to bring you nothing but up-to-the-minute information, up-to-the-minute analysis on everything regarding the 2024 general elections. So Evans Spencer and Raymond, we're going to give it to you for you to continue in the studio. But for the Melvin Big Hotel, my name is Elton Broby, reporting for Joy News.
And to Elton, thank you very much. And by the way, whilst we're having this conversation on the Joy News channel, and many of you are watching us, remember that we also have Twitter Spaces that is currently happening right now. My colleague Kojo Yangsing is there and is anchoring that, because the conversation, and rightly so, because here's Alan Kyerematen, who is pitching himself as a youthful savior, so to speak. This movement, he says, is going to be a movement driven by the youth, and the youth rightfully sits on social media, digital media. And as we've been having a conversation on Twitter Spaces, his own Twitter account, or X account, has joined that conversation. It's a signal to what he wants to do. But there is so much more to look at. The fundamental point, We've seen that the General Secretary of the NPP has sent out a tweet and also on Facebook that we are NPP.
Something that we do a lot. I mean, we are Joy.
Yes, this is obviously taking the cue from Joy.
Yes.
Also, but here's a big question, Raymond. What this means for Bawumia and for the NPP in 2024. That's really what it comes down to.
So I was talking about this. Apart from President Rawlings, no NDC candidate has had more than 51%. President Mills had 50.2% in 2008, and also President Mahama got 50.7% in 2012 to win the presidency. Now in NPP, President Kufuor had 56.9% in 2000, and in 2004 obtained 52.45%. He lost 4%. If you have seen the trend, basically every government which has been in power, the first time votes and the second time vote, there's a drop of between 2 to 4%. Let's look at 2016. NPP had 53.72%. And in 2020, had 51%. 2% drop. Yeah. Any drop, which is 1%. So if NPP loses 1% of the 51.2%, it's in opposition. For a first-time candidate, President Mills had to die for President Mahama to win 2012. You get my point? Yeah. Basically, through Jerry Rawlings' time, Mills could not take over from Jerry Rawlings. The same way President Akufo-Addo could not take over from President Kufuor. That transition of breaking the eight is perhaps the most difficult trend to break in our Fourth Republic. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, if he becomes the leader of the party, which is more likely actually, would have to fight that Herculean tax. His odds are not improved. When you have a major member of your party who's been contesting elections to 2007, come in and say, I'm actually taking myself off the party. I'm not alienating myself from the party. I still want the members of the party to vote for me. I want them to be part of the people that actually I want in my zone. That grouping alone should be voting for me, and these people should also vote for me to be president. If you have somebody like that, he's more likely to contribute to chipping away that 1% you need to lose the election the next time. That is the biggest danger that Dr. Bawumia becomes the NPP candidate faces. Now let's look also at what the NPP has been getting.
And just to back that point, we just saw an interview with SK Bafo.
Yes.
And he actually represents the group you're talking about. And make no mistake, there are people in the NPP who are disgruntled, they're disillusioned, they're not happy with the way the party is run, the way the party has actually performed in government. And what tends to happen, those people in the elections, they will not go out and vote.
That's true.
They will not vote for the NDC either, but they will sit on the fence. And that is how incumbents lose elections.
And that's how you lose your percentages.
Then you have somebody like SK Bafo who represents that group, stalwarts in the party who may not go because they're just simply upset. They're now saying they are backing Alan Kyerematen. Your point is, and that is a very important point, and this is a man who until recently, 2000, was a board chairman of the Minerals Commission, appointed by the president, has been a stalwart to the party, Ashanti regional.
Has been a minister for that region.
Ashanti regional minister, saying that so you can expect, and I make the point, going into the 2024 elections and the next few months, we may possibly be seeing more NPP stalwarts breaking ranks, resigning from the party, crossing carpet, and joining Alan Kyerematen. All of them will come with their own base.
That's true.
Right? And already, SK Bafo comes from a particular region, the Ashanti region. And the reason why we've been saying this is very critical for the NPP is, let's stay with this SK Bafo theme. NDC, NPP have never won a national elections when they've had less than 75% in Ashanti region.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely critical.
And that's the base you need.
That is the base you need. I mean, and you think 75% is good performance anywhere. But for the Ashanti region, for the NPP to win, they must get more than 75%. In 2004, they have 77%. They barely scraped that mark. And they won the elections.
Yeah.
Kufuor lost.
And dropped by percentage anyway.
Significant percentage. But they won because the Ashanti region carried them in there. You go to 2008. Where the race went to a third round.
Yeah.
In the final analysis, they got 72.5%. What happened? They lost elections.
Eventually, yeah.
I'm talking about the Ashanti region, just to be very specific. 2012, 70% they lost. In Ashanti, 70% they lost elections. 2016, guess what happened after that performance in 2012? They have 76.3%.
When they came back to actually upping beyond the 75%.
75%. They won elections. if Alan Kyerematen only manages 1% of the national votes.
And why is this very important? After the super delegate elections, some people have started saying that, oh, no, he's no longer popular. Look at his own people, but they forgot that these super delegates are party officials, are people who have been actually put in positions, and they are actually prominent people in the party already. They are not the ordinary people. We're talking about ordinary people. Now, yes, the 76 you're talking about is 3,019,178 votes. 3 million of our voters in one region giving election to one person. If you put that number together, it's almost close to what the Eastern and Western regions put together may give the NPP. Now, these three regions, Eastern, Western, and Ashanti, together gave the NPP more than 5 million votes. Let's look at it closely from that point. If he's able to pull away not up to 3 million, or even 1 million, or 500,000, he has done enough to destroy the opportunity.
And our argument is that majority of that number most likely will come from the Ashanti region.
Yes, and these are not, let's not get it wrong. These are not delegates of the NPP. These are not partisan people. They are ordinary people who feel that they belong to the NPP, but Kyerematen is their best representation of the NPP. It's the reason why you've seen Dr. Bawumia doing all the overtures, even considering a running mate from that region. Because you need to consolidate that particular base. Now you have somebody who's more likely to be on the ballot with you, who had a stature similar to yours. In fact, up until 2008, Dr. Bawumia was not known in the NPP. But you think about it this way. Somebody who had been known as a die-in-the-wool NPP for a very long time. That same person is the person that you may have to contend in Ashanti alone. Forget about Western region, forget about Central region, and all the other groupings that the Joe Biden says that may equally chip away votes across the country for him. It is a dangerous trend for an incumbent party that's more likely to lose votes in the coming
Already
election.
They had the 8-year curse that they needed to break. And then this happens. Let's bring in Professor Dr. Asante, his senior lecturer, University of Ghana Political Science, joins us right now. And Doc, I know you've been on for a while, but as you know, this is a major developing story today. And so there's a lot really to analyze and to break down. Let me ask you, is this the final nail in the coffin of the NPP for the 2024 elections?
Good question. But there is something that we can pick from this happening today. If you look at party politics in Ghana, independent candidates have not been successful in winning elections. That is a fact. And the fact is simply based on the grounds that party traditions are too strong for independent candidates to survive. It is even worse where you want to have even a third force, which people clamor for in recent times, and they believe that is going to be the game changer. I'm afraid when you have a two-party system, such as United States, Britain, Canada, the rest of them, the other parties are what Huntington and Co. call a quarter party or draft parties. Let me put it that way. So the dominant parties are very strong, unless, of course, you have a multi-party system where the political parties have equal strength, equal resources to be able to win power. But that one, they don't even form a government exclusive to themselves. But back to the issue, what Alan Kyerematen's decision now, what it poses in terms of danger for the NPP is that, look, he's a stalwart, a giant in the party. And that if you look at it vis-a-vis the issue of the fact that we are talking about a first-past-the-post electoral system where one vote can move you from a candidate to a president, then a cause for worry for the NPP, because there is absolutely no doubt that he's a giant. He's going to move a lot of people along, and those people are going to cause the party the more. You recall when we saw the Reform Party, which came as a protest party in 2000, where NDC lost marginally, especially their stronghold. You realize that reform was the main cause of their defeat. So if you are going to have Alan Kyerematen, a giant like this, a very credible person, a very solid man, a founder or one of the founders of the party, going out, and you have giants like S.K. Boafo, from the two from Ashanti region, and Kyerematen also having tentacles in Central region. one of the swing constituencies of all times, and one of the biggest constituencies in Ghana, that's Ashanti region, then NPP, they are in for trouble, I must say.
Yeah, and you make that point about independent candidates. And you're right. They have had a poor showing in our electoral history. Except that I must submit, we've not had an independent candidate in the stature of Alan Kyerematen. And then that may pose a significant challenge. And Alan Kyerematen doesn't need to win. He just needs to claw a bit of the votes that the NPP will traditionally have expected to claw in the 2024 elections.
Yes, what you are saying is perfectly true, because the only chance for him, as Kyerematen, is that he can really rock the boat of the NPP. And when it gets to the fact that he's able to push the election to a second round, that is where he put the cards on the table. And then you
find the brands, inspiration, and great value you need to own your style at Macy's VIP sale, going on now. Use your coupon or Macy's card and take an extra 30% off fall trends and updates. Plus 15% off go-to beauty, skincare, and fragrances. Plus shop specials and find great deals on top brands at Macy's VIP sale. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
Sebastian Gorka here. I'm living a very blessed life as an intelligence analyst, a national talk show host, and author, and I have an amazing family. But like many of us, aches and pains start to interfere with living my best life, even just walking the dog. But I found Relief Factor 3 years ago, a 100% drug-free solution for aches and pains, and now I'm pain-free, and I have my life back. I take Relief Factor every day. Relief Factor can help your body fight the inflammation that causes joint and muscle pain and other aches and pains that come with everyday life. Treat yourself to feeling better, move more, live more, and just enjoy your life more with Relief Factor. Join me and more than 500,000 other Americans. Get started today with your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. Almost 70% of those who order go on to use it more. ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com. Feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Again, for an maybe a coalition government or inclusive government and all that. So it's a tactical decision he has taken. And they should not look at it lightly at all, because it's a giant. And I can tell you, he can rock the boat of the NPP. Because you have done the analysis. If you look at the Ashanti region, you can win as an NPP you need beyond 70%. If that vote comes down and NDC is able to get 30%, they are home and dry. Remember that he can also cause an upset in Central region. That is one of his home constituencies. And of course, the account factor, there's no doubt it will play out in Eastern region and the rest of them. There are floating voters, people who think along the lines of Kyerematen, believing that he has been given a raw deal, for which reason they want to really punish the party. I tell you, he can pull a lot of surprises.
Stay with me, Prof. Stay with me, because there's a lot more to look at. And that point that Prof was making there is absolutely important. And of course, we're waiting to see what the NPP says about this, their reaction. They would have known this was coming. Yes. They would have known, because even for us here, we knew this was coming. This would have been discussed. I'm also curious what the role of former President John Agyekum Kufuor was in this particular decision. The last time Alan tried this, and I listened to the former General Secretary who is in his camp, who is in Alan's camp, explain what happened in 2007 when he wrote that resignation letter. And he says that when he sent the resignation letter in, President Kufuor called him into a meeting. And they met with also the national chairman of the party. And they talked him out of it. And they promised him that the issues would be addressed. He actually talked about it today. Yeah. And that is why he actually turned in resignation, but somehow he managed to find his way back into the fold. I'm curious to know, was this decision run by former President John Kufuor? What was his advice to him? Did he try to talk him out of it? And did he just simply tell him, I'm sorry, you tried this in 2007. Listen, they did not deal with the challenges. It repeated itself. This time I'm going, and refused to listen. Or did John Kufuor say, well, listen, this is okay, now go. That for me is going to be important.
Insiders have told us that
true and true, he spoke to the former president. In fact, everybody who has the gravitas and has been part of his entire team from the beginning. Let's not forget, Mr. Kyerematen is supposed to be spearheading a certain Kufuor faction in NPP. Right from 2007, the very things that people talked about, that he was imposed, he was being introduced, he had no gravitas in the party and all of that, and he was being brought in to come and take over. He was being groomed to come and take over. It was a certain Kufuor faction. Now, some people even extend that Kufuor faction to a Victor Osu faction, an Ashanti-based faction compared to an Achim-based faction where Pawuli came from. So that's how they drew the lens right from there. Anytime there's an attempt to break away, they'll say, oh, let's go back to 1979 and see how the break in the front of the NPP led to the party losing the election that Liman won in 1979. So that grouping, of course, many were quite clear. They thought he would be the one saying he should stay. So that's why people did not contemplate ever that Mr. Kyerematen could leave to the point of contesting an independent, because they knew that there were systems in place to actually calm him down and keep him within party from President Kufuor. And we know that he didn't even speak. He spoke to powerful chiefs in the Republic of Ghana too. He actually went around, and there were a lot of those engagements happening. I am not sure if the advice of those groupies
did they give him their blessing? I think it's a key point.
That's
and the reason why for me that is
yeah.
very important is if they did tacitly or overtly. I mean, sometimes the person can say, well, do what you please,
yes.
right? And it'll be tacit. In other words, do what you please. But if he says, go, whatever it is, if they gave their blessing to him, that will be significant in the Ashanti region turnout for him.
That's true.
Right? You talk about powerful chiefs. Mm-hmm. We all know how that is very important.
Because, for example, the Asantini is known that if you really want to pursue any proper political career in this country, he's one man you go to for blessings.
And he in this year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The last time he spoke to him,
he went there.
You remember that speech? He talked about what he has done in the party,
yes,
and the fact that he's deserving of a position like that, and he's hoping, just like the others, you pray for him.
The point I'm making is that you would expect, considering that he started his campaign by going to Mensha to get his sort of blessing, you would expect that for him to make such a big announcement, he would have gone back. You would expect. I wouldn't say whether he actually happened. You would expect. If he did, I'm curious to know what was the reply. You know why that is important? Because that reply, whatever it was, that reaction will feed into how people in the Ashanti region will respond to Alan Kyerematen.
Would equally be interested in this one.
Yes. We'll feed into that. We'll feed into that very strongly.
I just hope the sentiments are not driven on the ground. And I was tracking back to the 79 sentiments and all of that. If a certain Victor Osu can feel that Asantis are not being given the pride of place within the NPP, and the Asantis are losing out, and if you have ears on the ground and you speak to Asantis consistently, this is a sentiment that's been brewing for some time now. Take out the likes of Napo, likes of Chairman Sabons who want to be running mates and all of that. Take out that grouping. There's a certain deep-seated anger amongst a grouping that they are not being recognized the way they ought to be recognized in the Ghanaian space. And that is what he sought to represent right from the beginning. So to them, Kyerematen was that face that gave Asante back power within the politics of this country. With that face now outside or leaning off the NPP reign, I mean, Asante also has a certain affinity towards the NPP. Historically, they have been there. Will they now see this as a different Asante that requires individuals who will lead their interests rather than party affiliation? Yeah. Because the history is there, that's without doubt. Would you throw away all of the years of the NPP, right from the UP, straight down to the political party being banned, the Young Executive Forum, throughout the Dankwa Buzia Club and all of that, into forming what is supposed to be the current system? That is what is interesting, and that's what some of us are looking out for. If we get that indication, then there's a lot more trouble on the horizon. It will stem a different path. It will stem a different future for the NPP as a political party in general, but also be whether or not Asante can evolve. But Evans, there's another point. We are talking about Asante history and all of that for a grouping that's very old. If you ask the young people below 30, 20 today, they never saw what happened in 79. Yeah. They are not mindful of it. They may rather be more interested in having a voice in Ghana's politics. a voice that gives them opportunity to live outside the duopoly, a voice that makes them contribute, like those who gathered at the protest, saying that they need to be part of the country. They need a new face that's not going to be part of the duopoly. If it is Mr. Kyerematen they are looking for in this case, that will also be a different trend altogether.
Yeah, and that is a very important point. I want to bring back in Professor Asante, who joins us, still stays with us on this very important matter. We are waiting to see what the NPP says, but how should they handle this going in? They would have known that this was going to happen today. I'm pretty sure as we speak, so they are planning, trying to deal with the fallouts of this. How should the NPP deal with this?
Too late in the day, they can talk to him to get him rescind his decision. That is a fact. But what they have to do as a party is to be able to put in a strategy that will make sure that they tied all the nooses around and then make sure that the party is on solid footing to be able to campaign effectively for the next election. It's a difficult, I must say, it's going to be a difficult thing for them in the sense that if you look at the economy, which is a main factor of voter choice, which has been mismanaged and brought us to the IMF one more time, I don't know what kind of message they want to churn out. Even if the economy improves, people will tell you that it's the IMF which has a hand in that. So they need to develop all manner of strategy to be able to, assuage the pain of those who went through the superdelegate election. Remember, the superdelegate election brought a lot of pain. I have spoken to a lot of people within the Ashanti bloc, and they tell you that one painful thing that they saw was the vote in Ashanti, where 7 Ashantis who contested, about 3 were giving few votes, the rest scored 0. And that Dr. Baumia's hometown, actually nobody gained any vote except him. And for him, they believe that the ethnic card was played. And that this time around, when they get opportunity, they want to teach a lesson to him. If this is anything to go by, then you are going to see the ethnic card being played at this level. That's not what we wish and then we pray for. But hey, voters decide the way they want to vote. It doesn't matter what. 2, NPP should be tactical in going for the November 4 election, making sure that you don't create unnecessary pain. The issue of money being a factor in influencing election has really incurred the wrath of people. If they have a repeat of that, I'm afraid whoever emerges, they are going to what? If Bawumia emerges as the victorious in that election, then it's going to be very, very difficult for them. So this time around, what that the party has to do is to be able to bring everybody on board, make sure that the institutions, the rules, the regulations governing the process are at play, and that irrespective of whoever crosses the line, the person is sanctioned and all that. When people see this, that the whole system is not working in favor of one person, then you are likely to pick the pieces together and reorganize. Otherwise, you are likely to have a difficult, because the Ashanti forces within the NDC bloc, the NPP bloc, are ready to give them a showdown, especially in support of Alan Kyerematen, which they think that he has been shortchanged for all the years that he has struggles, toil for the party and all that, all the compromises he made in support of Nana for the last election. He received nothing, and especially the region has also received nothing meaningful. It ties in with what Mr. Akwa is saying about what the Ashantis feel, except the few people who believe that, yes, they want to take certain position. For that reason, they are not so keen about protecting the interests of Ashanti. But I tell you, without fear of contradiction, and that the Ashantis on the ground are very, very livid. And they believe that if these things are not kept in a way, what I am hearing, if it is anything to go by, they want to make sure that, yes, you don't win and we don't win. And then we start afresh and a new party is born. And then we pick up the pieces from there. If that is going to be the strategy, then I can tell you, MPP is in to have their fingers bent.
And indeed, as we've just been speaking there, you can stay with me again because there's a lot happening on this. The NPP has issued a statement signed by the General Secretary. I want to bring that to you very quickly. What has been the reaction? Because really this is about them. They've known that this was coming. The General Secretary pens his signature to this statement that has been issued and says the leadership of the party has taken notice of the unfortunate decision of Mr. Alan John Kojo Kyerematen, a long-standing member of the party, to forfeit his membership and contest as an independent presidential candidate in the 2024 elections. The party leadership is by this medium urging the rank and file of our great party to remain calm and await an official address by the party to Mr. Kyerematen's resignation at 4:14 p.m. That's 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on Tuesday. That's tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? At the party headquarters. May God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make the new patriotic party great and strong. So we're expecting that the party will be addressing its rank and file first and foremost in the nation tomorrow at 2 p.m. on this. Clearly, they had anticipated this and had planned for this to happen tomorrow. So that will be interesting to learn what the party's position is going to be on this, but also get to learn what did they do to try and talk him out of this? And we'll get to know.
And you see, this is from Justin Kodua Frimpong. Everybody who has known Ashanti politics knows that he has been a long-time supporter of Mr. Kyerematen, prior to the time that he had to actually go into this.
I remember when he was elected, those suggestions came up again.
Yes, but you think about it deeply. And even the national chairman of the party...
He was Ashanti Regional Youth leader.
Yeah. And even the national chairman of the party today, way back then, there were so many occasions where people felt this is the Kyerematen chairman that we're putting up, apart from Afoko, in the race along the line. So it's quite murky. The positions that are expected to be taken by a party at this point in time, what can they do differently? I think they can try to be conciliatory. Make sure a lot more people do not leave to support it. You can't do grandstanding now. You can't flex muscles now because it's about numbers.
But here's the thing. For that to work tomorrow, they must show us with evidence the practical steps they took to address Alan Kyerematen's concern.
Right from 2007.
Yes, because again, Alan charged that. But more precisely, the recent concern. What steps they took to address it? Did they look into the concerns about, again, the level playing field? Because it is, when you hear one side of the story and then you hear the other, you say, oh, but goodness me, they bend over backwards.
They said there are two committees that are already operating and that will submit reports. That's what they were told us last time.
Because we've heard Alan Kyerematen's story today. We've not heard the parties. Okay, we don't know everything. So what did they really do? Is he right to suggest that the party structures were coerced and skewed to favor one person? What the party's position on that? When he said he was going, at what point did he indicate this to them? Okay? And who did they bring? The last time this happened, they brought in the likes of Darocha into the conversation.
From the committee, and
Mr. Darocha to look into it. He mentioned also, they brought in the likes of Mr. Odoi Sykes to get involved in trying to resolve the matter. I'll be curious to learn tomorrow how far this party, in this current incarnation, what did they do to address the conversation? But I'm also interested to learn, especially because Alan Kyerematen, and this has happened before, this is almost a deja vu aspect to this, were there people who were thinking, look, we're tired of this.
Let him go.
Let him go. And did that influence the extent to which they went to address it?
Try and resolve this.
The reason why that is important is, if they lay this out in crystal terms, and it was with overwhelming evidence that they went over and above to address the concerns, and yet Mr. Kyerematen still didn't budge, there are few in the party who may be now feeling sympathetic towards him, will say, oh, but come on. The party was very fair. Exactly to you, so you're not being fair to the party. So tomorrow's briefing is absolutely critical in deciding in the minds of those NPP folks who today have heard Alan Kyerematen, who may be feeling sympathetic.
Quite ambivalent.
Exactly. Whether or not the party had done everything. Look, politics is a game of numbers. You have Alan Kyerematen going. He has a following. You rather will not have that
Yeah.
You rather will not have that. So did you do everything in your power, even if you believe he's been a spoiled child?
Okay.
Even if you believe he's been a spoiled child, did you do everything, knowing that this is about numbers?
Indeed.
And tomorrow's address will be very key.
And I'm not sure they can state that publicly, but they should even move on to actually tell us, we made overtures. We even promised impossible running mates roles and all of that. All of that is to try and now fight the numbers that are likely to live with him. Give the people a sense that the party did not treat him unfairly and that the Asante people are still relevant to the party and that me as General Secretary, I still represent the hope and the vision of you in the Asante region. I have been through the ranks and I know. I've been with Mr. Kyerematen in times past and I'm staying. Of course, you saw the public display of people who were formerly within his rank, who had actually come out and declared support for the vice president. Some had actually come out and said that if Mr. Kyerematen is leaving the party, I'll not go with him. David Sopoku, for example. That grouping would equally be helping the party when they come out to say that we do not think this is the best way to go. We have supported him all our lives, but this party is more important than every single
Strategically,
individual.
if I were in the shoes of the party, this is one of the things they should consider doing. You have folks like the Hoho MP, the NPP magician in the Ashanti region, in the Volta region, the Railways Minister.
And mindful of the role he played in the last
elections. And I'm talking here about John Peter Mewu. Yeah. You would want John Peter Mewu at this NPP press conference. You want him at this NPP press conference. The optics is important. You will want Catherine Afeku
at the same
at this press conference. Because again, remember, Alan Kyerematen has pitched the party executives as those who manipulated the process to favor one person. So if all we hear is from Justin Kodria and the national chairman, the folks who say, but we talk
having head-on collision with Mr. Kyerematen. Yeah, you are the people he's accusing anyway.
However, if you have the people who are so, remember, John Peter Mewu is still a cabinet member.
Yes, true.
Right. So we want to know does he agree with what has happened?
Yeah.
If you have him on the press conference saying optics, that I disagree with this. I was with him, and this is where party loyalty comes in. And I can tell you that the party did everything. I have talked him out of this, and I believe he's wrong. And I'm speaking to those who were with us in our campaign that the NPP is still the place for us. If you have a voice like that, and Catherine Afeku, etc., joining that will help. Somewhat. And I wonder if the party...
Beyond even the optics, it will give supporters of some of these...
The party so united.
Like Peter Mewu in Hohoi, so in the voter region, that no, we are not breaking off yet. We are still on the same level. It's just an individual. And you will send a signal also to people that we've stripped him of every relevant party member. The impact of having the likes of SK Boafo sit amongst the audience there and declare support is so huge that you need to clear up all of those and show evidence that the likes of former President Kufuor are still with us actively in our party. They have not abandoned the Dark Obuzia tradition. And finally, the man still says that I've not even wished away the tradition. I think it's the current scheme that's not good enough.
That's exactly in the interest of the party that he's doing what he's doing. He's doing what he's doing. Party.
So you should show proof that it is not in the interest of the party that somebody takes this particular trend and goes in this direction. And perhaps they will stand
another point before I bring Prof in to see if he agrees with this, that the party's energies right now should be focused on stopping the bleeding.
Yeah.
When I say bleeding, what I mean is you don't want a bandwagon effect. Alan Kyerematen is the domino. He's gone. You don't want tomorrow to wake up and hear Bwamia Samoa announcing I'm gone. You don't want to hear John Peter Mewu saying I'm joining him. You don't want to hear a member of parliament. And there are many, many MPs who are aggrieved.
Subing
MP.
Asante Achim not
saying that I'm joining him.
A lot of them.
What the MPP does not want is to create a bandwagon effect. What they really want to create is a sense that Alan is standing alone.
Brilliant.
That even those who backed him when he was in the party and left him. That this is somebody who is, you want to paint him as somebody who is aggrieved and bitter, and so all their efforts between today and tomorrow must be to try and find out, first of all, who else is thinking along these lines to join him and publicly express his support for him. And Dr. Asante, that will be key for the party going forward, is it not? That channeling of the energy at the right places to stop the bleeding, at least for now, and not us having a situation where in the next few days we have the bandwagon effect of all these key individuals now declaring support for him. That would be disastrous for the NPP. Do you agree?
They need to stop the bleeding, as you put it rightly, because you are likely to have a lot of people following. I'm surprised that today I see SK Boaf, a giant. Let us remember that there are people who are also lagging behind. Look at what the focus, Kyerematen, their issues have not been dealt with to the satisfaction of them within the party. They are all agreed. There are people also within the party who believe that the whole system is favoring one person against the rest of them. And they believe that this is the time to take the party from them. If you recall, I think your network also gave an interview to Mr. Kyerematen that day when he spoke, and I said he has given a broad hint. He said, begin to walk and talk him out before he forms a movement. And you recall that statement he made. It was a broad hint that Mr. Kyerematen gave. But I can see the party's pusher that, yes, we are calling your bluff. You can go out. It doesn't matter. NPP is strong. I tell you, that is not the way to go. As you rightly said, stop the bleeding, soften your stand, put up a new posture that is accommodating enough, that is able to bring everybody on board, and that you must be able to be seen to be addressing issues quickly, not as a smoke screen, but that you have genuine intention to deal with the issues that confront the party. And then you stop the things that bring pain in people within the party. That is what they have to do at the moment. But if they want to flex their muscle and call his bluff and tell, well, you can go to hell if you want, excuse my language, I cannot tell you, this is going to create a difficult situation for them, because you are going to see exodus of giants within the party coming to support Alan to just break the system, so that one point in time, they will all come back and realize that we need to come home and then form the base again. If we look at the strategy, Alan is also putting out the letter that I'm taking, all right? Whilst you want to prevent the bandwagon effect, you will never know. If he has people who are also experts in the propaganda techniques, then they will also come out with testimonial, where there are people who will be coming out to drum into the ears or parrot Alan's achievement, his strengths, and all that. That is also a way of swaying the votes one way or the other. So at this time, at this point in time, the party must be able to soften its stance and be prepared to listen and address problems, and it should be genuine effort to address problems, not any lip service that you are paying toward the problem. And then there must be a conscious effort to bring all aggrieved groups within the party. There are a lot of aggrieved groups, Tarzan and Co, Foucault and Co, Kyerematen, and the rest of them, right? Let them feel a sense of belonging to a party that they've struggled and built over the years. But if you think that, look, you have power and you want to take them for granted, I'm afraid the tax is going to be more daunting than what we see.
And Dr. Asante, thanks very much. We'll be wrapping up in the studio. If you're just joining us, this is a seminar moment for the New Patriotic Party. There's a lot of analysis that needs to happen to dissect this. Join the Twitter, the X Spaces conversation that is currently happening. And as you know, there is where a lot of the conversation is happening. In fact, in the last few minutes, Oliver Bakavomawo has extended an invitation to Alan Kyerematen to join a conversation on X Spaces. So that is where, and here you have Alan also picturing himself as a youthful savior, so to speak, for those who are of course, believe that the next elections and whoever wins it going forward will be determined by the youth. He's pitching himself there. And we'll be talking a lot about this breaking news story in the last few minutes. In the last hour or so, Alan Kyerematen has announced that he has broken away from the NPP. He's going independent with the movement for change. And his logo is a butterfly, and it says butterflies obviously represent the final manifestation of that process of change. and which for him is what he wants to really represent. And Ghana will rise again is what they are pitching as your tagline. And so very interesting days ahead for the New Patriotic Party. Raymond, let's wrap this up. Now, we've talked about the party, but we haven't talked about lunch. We haven't talked about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Yes.
Now,
what he can do.
Yeah, but what this means for him. Again, Dankwa, Buzia, Dombo.
Yeah.
The argument has been, wow, we've had the Dankwas, we have the Buzias. This was a time for the Dombos. And then this happens, right? You are him now, watching that press conference. What's going through his head and what is he thinking must happen now?
I mean, we all know that he's fighting a very serious battle currently. Forget about the next the delegates elections, the November 4 one. He's more likely going to be the one winning it anyway. It's the main elections that's the main problem for him. I would have been asking the likes of Mr. Kufuor to intervene and call the man that if it's possible that I can still take up the offer of being my running mate, I would actually offer it to him. I would offer him cabinet positions almost up to 40% of the appointments within the party. I would offer him a future after my presidency within, and if it's possible, I could even say that if I do not win the next election, he can take over as the person that we all push to lead the party going forward. These are very serious concessions, but it's the kind of concession you would want to make to keep a man like that. Except, and I think that recently, the posturing has been that, well, Alan Kyerematen has lost support, he has lost the taste and favor, he has lost the positioning to be able to go into the future as a leader of the party. He doesn't have broad control and power. You remember after the super delegates election, the commentary from the people who were really opposed to him, he's overrated. He's actually not the kind of person people thought of him 2007. Yeah. And that he doesn't have the power, the resources, and the people behind him. Yeah. There was even a very funny commentary that was being said that, this is a man who only have people who support him who are former people. So former ministers, former party people, former people who have no resource, who have no control, who have no largesse, who really do not control the masses of the party today. So we can do without him. That posturing will be dangerous. So if he can get back on the wagon, which seems like a very belated one, he should be seen extending some arm to Mr. Kyerematen and saying that we need you on board, regardless of what you think. And even visiting him and saying to him that, listen, I know that you want to leave, you want to go independent, but you're still my brother. We are still within the same political party. Those optics will help out, will help people feel that he is more likely the candidate who will bring everybody together. And again, even if Mr. Kyerematen leaves, the vice president will have to now live in the Ashanti region because that position is what he needs to win the election. Plus other votes, okay? But he is more than likely going to win an election with a bigger margin in Ashanti. If he is with them, he is seen not as antagonistic to Kyerematen and the Ashanti bloc. He is seen as the blessed son of Ashanti, even from afar. I hope you get my point. Yeah. So put together, he either reaches out to the man or let it be known that he is so much endearing himself to the man, bending over backwards and ingratiating himself to him in every form. Or it should be stated categorically that every ways I've tried, but I still want Ashanti people to know I'm their own. I still represent the NPP. And Ashanti should prioritize NPP over the individual's interest.
For the camp of Dr. Bawumia to chew on. But here's the only thing going for him. Mm-hmm. In all the contests that Alan has featured in, he's not performed particularly well in the Ashanti region. I'm talking about the internal.
Yeah.
He's not performed particularly well. In fact, in the last Superdelegates Congress, Dr. Bawumia received an overwhelming endorsement from the Ashanti regional delegates. And by the way, the Ashanti regional delegates were the largest.
Yeah.
Okay? But that is no indication of what might happen in the national elections. But this is why that is important. It is important because we are assuming that the kinds of people that Alan will appeal to are people who are traditionally loyalists of the NPP, who had voted NPP in the past and are likely to vote for NPP going forward. Yeah. And if that's the case, that small group of just over 100 who voted in the last delegates conference, you can dare say maybe, and if you really stretch an argument, maybe a representation of sort of the NPP base in a stronghold, right? And yet they voted overwhelmingly for Dr. Bawumia and not for Alan Kyerematen, who is one of their own, as we know. If you want to extrapolate from that, you can do an analysis and come to the conclusion that if he's not being that good among his own kinsmen in the Ashanti region, in the party, can he be that good in the national elections among people who traditionally vote NPP when they have always rejected him in internal party elections? I know there are gaps in that analysis, but at least...
Of course, that's what I would like to present.
Yeah, of course.
To paint the picture that he's not as powerful as you want him to be.
In his own region.
Yes.
In his own home region, in his own constituency, he's not as popular.
It is make-believe.
Yeah.
And so if we strip the make-believe off, we can actually drill to the point and say he doesn't control the party. And Asante will be better off with NPP rather than being with Alan Kyerematen, a losing candidate going into the future. But then you have to show evidence of doing things for Asante people rather than they supporting. Do you get my point?
Yeah.
We know that political parties hardly really do well in their own areas of massive support in terms of developmental projects. You know the complaints that came from the region and the kind of things that they have said. You need to show proof otherwise. And I'm saying there's going to go into this election a certain younger population who may not even care about loyalty. They care purely about their circumstances and how that can be improved. That grouping may be what he may appeal to more, because they want to be deciding the future of this country. They don't want to be mere appendages to an electoral system that changes between NPP and NDC. That grouping may also be one grouping that will be surely thinking of a third party, somebody that can really be a man they feel they put in place, or they were part of the system that made it possible for him to be there. And I've seen immediately what they have shared as people who are speaking for Kyerematen. I mean, I knew Courage Nobe way back in Legon. Young people listed all through as new spokespersons. A certain grouping who are not extremely partisan people, yet are likely to draw on board a lot more younger grouping who think that the future should be more about what Ghana can do and not necessarily going with the duopoly. That is a trend that I'm likely to be interested in seeing how it plays out going into the future.
Yeah, I mean, so clearly for Dr. Bawumia, there is a lot more work ahead of 2024 than before.
A lot more work.
Already he is facing, and this is where now his own constituency becomes even more important. His constituency of the northern region becomes more important, because you have to operate on an assumption. You have to operate on an assumption that Alan Kyerematen is going to take votes from you, particularly in the Ashanti region. I mean, even if you take my analysis, if you believe what it is, you still have to operate on an assumption that he's going to take you. And then you remember that Alan Kyerematen keeps making the point in the lead up to this Super Delegates Congress that even in the NDC stronghold of the Volta region, he, amongst the folks who are contesting, he is a person who may appeal even to the NDC folks there.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
that's something that he keeps saying, actually.
Yeah. And I don't know how that holds true, but that may be because of the factor of John Peter Mewu, right, who worked a miracle for the NPP then. Do we know whether he's backing him now? I don't know whether that then becomes an issue. And I'm leading to a point about, we've talked a lot about the NPP, and we've talked about Bawumia, but what about the NDC themselves? Because remember, that towards the end of his address tonight, he actually goes beyond the NPP and says, even for you guys in the NDC who are aggrieved, right, and believe that you want change, I am the person who will represent that change for you. And we've seen that the party's communications officer, Sami Jemfi, has issued a lengthy statement. It says it is indisputable fact that Alan Kyerematen has not been treated fairly by his party. So again, sort of continuing Alan Kyerematen's own position on this. The NPP says under the leadership of Akufo-Addo has never been truly democratic. He says, I understand Alan's pain and do empathize with him. So the basis of his resignation from the NPP is more reason why no democratic or peace-loving Ghanaian must join or vote for the NPP. However, the point has to be made forcefully that Alan is not a viable alternative to the failed incumbent NPP government. So already he's become an opponent.
Yes, they're seeing the threats there.
Yes. Yeah. Already he's become an opponent. Then you have to treat him as such.
Yeah.
Right? He says, as a cabinet minister responsible for the trade industry and member of the economic management team, Alan Kyerematen actively participated in the destruction of the economy into the mess it is today. Clearly, I just want to go to conclusion. Clearly, it is the pain of rejection by the super delegates of the NPP and the intimidation and harassment of his supporters, which is fueling Alan's latest decision, and not any superior passion to help heal the partisan divisions in the country. But it is too late for Alan to jump ship now. Now, here's a point. Yes, Raymond.
That point, it's because anybody that positions themselves as somebody who's not going to go the partisan duopoly way is more likely to get. And the theories all over the world have suggested that when there has been economic crisis, people look beyond that. In fact, they even sometimes create candidates that have not been originally thought of. So after the global financial crisis, the U.S. spawned the likes of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Not because the people did not think that, they think that he was the best candidate ever, but because a grouping were so worried about the future of the country, they needed a dramatic change in leadership.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. And when a grouping becomes that disappointed in the system, they look to something different. It is because the NDC, even in the National Communications Officer's voice, really think that if we allow this to fester, if we allow the Julobi demonstrators, plus the other groupings that are coming together, if we allow, and I know for sure that there are elements within trade groups, there are elements within the AGI, the Guta and Co., who are equally looking for something different from what these two political parties are presenting. If we allow that to fester, it may be our undoing as a political grouping who have been sharing power for the last almost 30 years. So let's make it clear that he's part of the old stock. He's just aggrieved. Saying he's just aggrieved means that he has no true intentions of reviving this state or pushing us into a new direction. But let's not forget, in the last almost 22 years, IEA has been leading a fight against winner takes all. It is that pillar. That fight has the likes of Professor Mike Ironokwe all being part of the committees that have been working on this for God knows how long. It is something we have established. We have just not had anybody with real chance, real opportunity, and real capability leading a different breakaway into a system that works out there.
Okay, and we've been talking a lot about the Ashanti region. I want to take you to the Ashanti region right now, because Nana Yaljuma is joining us right now with the reactions from there, Alan's home region. That is his base, that is his constituency. And we're curious to know how this announcement is being received there. Look, take it or leave it, people's ethnic origins still matter in Indian politics. People vote for people because they identify with them as my kinsman, as my tribesman, etc. Nana Yaljuma is with us. Hello, Nana. This definitely came as a big announcement for many people. It was foretold, it was expected, but to hear him say it, I wonder what the reaction has been in the Ashanti region.
So it depends on the side you belong to when it comes to the NPP. If you are for the Baumia or for the Baumia camp, I don't know. Maybe you'll be excited. Some of them they are not too happy about what is happening, especially those I've spoken to earlier who are from or who are on the side of Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Others who are for Alan Kyerematen are excited about the news. They were actually expecting Alan Kyerematen to forfeit the NPP and go his way and also try contest for the presidency come 2024, and some of them are ready to speak to me. I have with me here one of the gentlemen within the Swan magazine who is actually excited about the candidature of Alan Kyerematen. Sir, join us. And Alan Kyerematen, we're making it clear, so we're free NPP name. Say now, what Jennifer?
Metenase. Genji am say metenase ne say MPP fo ni na ni because me papa no minim no wa ble me hu wa support MPP ache ene minim no kula ache Baumia enti se ne no se aba to ne ba e si we ko ne we aba enti me so ka me hu se ka papa nka duru ne so because duru ne so because wa ble Alankashe nimnidi eche Bawumia until I say and come Bawumia Alankashe Konoma Bawumiaba. And you say Mama Alankashe and Qua. As a Bawumia Econas was so resign Metanase or resign one tin a party or tin a party Yen support on a magazine for Yen movement because only Nimuno. When him say Nana could and Kala neighbor. Sala Madiana to be Flabadia Waja Winyai and correct.
So he's saying that the one they know is Alan Kyerematen. They were expecting the NPP to put him up when it comes to the presidential race, or they're expecting the NPP to vote massively for him to become their flag bearer in the upcoming election. Unfortunately, Dr. Bawumia is the one it looks like the whole of the NPP is for. So for him, as someone who believes in Alan Kyerematen, he believes that if Alan should go his way, he'll be able to win massively when it comes to the Ashanti region. He is one of the people who are ready to vote Alan Kyerematen when he comes up as independent candidate in the next presidential election. I have with me others who also want to speak to me. Efia Kranche, I know, is one of the people who have been campaigning massively for Alan Kyerematen in the Ashanti region, and she was expecting this news. Efia, welcome to Joy News. Efia, you were expecting this news?
Yes, I was expecting it, and I'm not surprised at all, because looking at what happened and what has happened in NPP as a party, everybody testified that, Alan has been in the party for a very long time, and he has been intimidated, he has been maltreated, he has not been respected, and so many things. So if Alan has made this decision of going to independence, to me, I'm not surprised. It's even long overdue. And in his statement, he made it clear that it is time for Ghana to get a leader, somebody who will lead Ghana, not a political party. Because right now, it has become a trend. If it is not NDC, it is NPP. Everybody knows that NPP will come 8 years, NDC will come 8 years. So it has become a normal norm. So it's like they don't take the youth of Ghana seriously. They don't matter whether they will get work to do, whether they will be employed. It's none of their business. All they care is power. All they care is their well-being. All they care is their interest. But Alan is saying that he's going for an independent candidate. If you like, follow me. Because what has happened in NPP, if you were to be in his shoes, I don't think you will survive for even a second.
Efia, you are a staunch member of the NPP in the Ashanti region, yes, and you followed Alan Kyerematen's campaign in the Ashanti region. Yes. Will you also go his way?
Of course, yes. I will go his way because it's Ghana first. Ghana first. Ghanaian youth are suffering. Ghanaian youth are hungry. Ghanaian youth are weak. Yesterday, I read a post that Honorable Owusu Bempah, PRO for Ghana Gas, posted that NPP youth should wake up. How do we wake up if we are hungry and weak? So if Alan is going for an independence and he's saying that job for the youth, cash for the youth, why not? Right. I'm in support, 100%.
Right. Thank you. So these are people who believe that Alan Kyerematen should go independent and they are willing to vote him. Papa, Akwaba ma Joy News. Also, why are you so bad? Alan Kyerematen so go independent.
Hey, I'm ready. Are you ready, pa? We'll be able to. Are you ready?
I didn't influence your choice.
Well, my enforcement choice, Alan, a choir, MPP penny for the Faso. Also, the city, a choir MPP penny for the Faso, fat, ne hardware, pa, ne Yakamafo. Tiamia, I don't know, no, to me, sorry, Casse, on Timino Munko be one. I need to buy a pass with my sorry. Because any channel, you know, be able to me, sorry, I'm a small with the first one. One to me, I can't wash it, cause when Mr. Party, no party in the but then the pan be any party in the man. To any Asante for a treasure, quiet the Alan Faso, Yanya de Asante for says, oh, watch more than Papa will in Asante. Yamuano. To say no, what no so or independent.
So he is also for Alan Kyerematen's decision to go solo when it comes to the presidential election. He is also willing to vote him to become the next president of the country. So there are many more who are coming up and they would want to also speak to us. Papa, Nipa Brena, I say, or more so from no wedding command many aje, say Alan Kyerematen, Eco Independent, so Okasa Nipanubiana.
I had some, yeah, I had some say. I'm say a Kuno. The way I never see a faso Kuno, and ya adia efe. Name say NPP, me the man who one chairman who say, me who feel a Kufaro. But who say Kuno, a co-bencher, they need your home say. But we are quite a co-bencher, or more, I just say, Mamma, for 4 years. Now, a cheer about the Baumia aside, indeed, a more prince say, you could echo beach, because the beer was done, I bet Danema and people in a lesson.
One year say, Alan Kyerematen NPP for entry in a year.
Oh, well, I know the say, or no, Kurum. Maybe the Mewabontia, the Muhuyan America, Uncle Ye, name no, a cool say. BBC na penyo or de kuna no why say on the asset on kasa eso na ase no ye se ku no emo ku nkoso cause say subo bia o ho akufo na de bono on the lead ku no bia be si ku no bia se de bono papa eso ofa say boni eso ofa otimi no oji sa de asem no be na nse chemeza buzu be kan ya ni na hwan TikTok yi na say ono no obi ntimi kana asem ko kana asem kura na otana na ekuo so no makosa etosini na anyina na ba du sam pempenso yi ti Alan Kyerematen so wate ne ho a eye pa mekasa nya meme de mekasa nya so no na de no ho no so wate no eye me so me support say wate no ho mekasa wate no nya na meboa ene ti yati krumu anu me na aginsemu ene me na nkoyi enu me na nkoyi yeti no ogi say na makoyi nti say wate ne ho a me de me ne je ho support no.
So he is also for the decision of Alan Kyerematen to go independent. According to him, the NPP had time to ensure that they mend issues within the party, but unfortunately, nobody in the party showed leadership or took it upon himself to ensure that the issues are resolved. So he is for Alan Kyerematen's bid to go independent. Sir, what do you think about the announcement, the big announcement that has been made so far of Alan Kyerematen to go independent?
In my opinion, I think he's part of the team. So, and he's part of where we've gotten now. So why is he going independent? I don't think it makes any change. Well, he's part of the team. I mean, we've gotten to where we are now. I would say he's part of where we've gotten to now.
When you say where we've gotten to, what do you mean?
We all know how the economy is now. I mean, the economy is totally in shambles. Everybody is complaining. I mean, we don't even see our left and right. So for me, it doesn't make any change, in my opinion.
So even he believes that the NPP haven't treated him fairly, and that is why he's deciding to go independent and try win power as a president and try transform the country.
Yeah, what could he do differently? Because he's been in the NPP for how long now? So why could he do differently? If he has something to do, I mean, we would have seen it, or he should have exhibited his role as a trade minister.
So it's no change?
In my opinion, I don't see any change.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So these are people within the Swami magazine in Kumasi, and there are lots more here. I don't know if we have time or to speak to some of them. Sir. All right. So these are okay. When NPP needs to Ghana ni. Sad decision. Send out your offer.
This is better.
Say Alan Kyerematen decided to be independent. Say now what do you
say? I'm the same person. Say me yendisini.
How does it play to the advantage of the NDC?
Oh, say mutia. Yeah, found. What's in your phone? In the end, oh, the more do I say the more do I am so. And the more do I so for now. So
So he is a supporter of the National Democratic Congress, and according to him, it's good for the NDC if Alan should decide to go independent. If that should happen, obviously he is going to pull some of the votes for the NPP, and it will give an advantage or serve as an advantage for the National Democratic Congress in the Ashanti region or in the country. And he believes that if that should happen, John Mahama will become president in the near future. Say, Alan Kyerematen and the announcer say Obeko independent. What's your opinion on that?
Okay, your friend Utuki. Alan Kyerematen hono emwa Alan Ankasa. Dintia Mwala and say, I don't know, a group, a crew, and a union, and would you a bedroom la a more dinibiano? No idea. Now, what one? In Tiala, when you bemo, you for.
On inche when they say NPP, near of course NPP nani home. Omonia fair, especially presidential. No motoyeno, abano motoye for delegates, super delegate election. Any day, ninya anya fair. Then America, ejina was say, ejina be ejina say you for.
Didn't you who for say? And you win a first time. Would you do baby? I didn't be an hour's matching. Son or chin, one or quiet no buy. Also, you can't be a party now, boy, your Alan. If it's a Ghana, MPP, Nama, or why by Alan. It's a Ukraine now, South Korea, Caribbean, also watching one. On a Becoetiano. A woman say, Person in your person saying, I can't boom. Now I quite walk on. Oh, your time, Crampo. If you say, I'm going to put in the China, I'm going to lose. Oka Adenta, Yabuabian Samoa, sitting in the MPP seat. Yagabia Samoa, and this is what the seat is simple every and some. Oko and Zamaha, Katrafeku. Sitting and this is what Jeffrey and some simple. Some of you in to watch. Then you say, I wouldn't be away. So we hear too much strong to me to do it. I'm out in the IABB.
Thank you very much. So these are the opinions that we are gathering here at the Summit Magazine Industrial Enclave. What he is saying is that Alan is showing signs of cowardness because he believes that he should have stayed and joined the NPP, win power and break the aids. He believes that his decision to resign from the party and go solo is not something that will help himself and the party as well. So these are the thoughts of some of the people within Some Magazine concerning the decision of Alan Kyerematen to resign from the NPP and contest the next election as an independent candidate. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much, Aljuma, and that gives you a sense. It's mixed there, but at least it tells you that some people are sympathetic towards him, others are not.
Spoke to really worried about how he was treated. That's quite problematic.
Yeah, and that would see how that plays out in the coming days. Indeed, this has been special coverage of that Alan Kyerematen big announcement. He has broken away from the NPP. And he's going to run as an independent candidate. Tomorrow at 2, we'll be here covering the NPP's announced official reaction to this announcement. You want to stay with us for that. This has been your election headquarters. We're not done with analysis. You want to join us on Top Story at 5:30, News Night, but also Prime at 7. And, of course, on PM Express later tonight, we'll be doing a bit more analysis of this and speaking to a few more of the people to get their reactions also. And remember that we're also very, very live on this particular subject across our social media platforms, on X, also on YouTube and Facebook. Find us and see what is happening in these conversations that we are having across digital media as well. My name is Evans Mensah. I've been here with Raymond Akwa, and thanks to Dr. Asante, who joined us with his thoughts, and Elton and the team who joined us from the ground.